Choudhry, our top focus, not quite the Congress, but will the protest against the Enforcement Directorate come to be the fulcrum of opposition unity? It seems so today, where on the third day of Parliament. We'll tell you why. First up, let me take you through the headlines. Day 3 of Parliament logjam over Rahul's democracy remark. BJP demands apology. Gandhi's most trusted aide, Sam Pitroda, speaks out, says give the Congress MP some space. Eighteen opposition parties march to ED from Parliament, demand investigation into the Adani crisis. TMC and NCP skip opposition show of strength. Rahul lands in India, but no show at March. K. Kavita's plea against ED summons quashed by Supreme Court. BRS MLC to be grilled by agencies in Liquorgate probe tomorrow. The Supreme Court slams ex-governor Bhagat Singh Koshyari over 2022 Maharashtra political crisis, says difference of opinion amongst MLAs within ruling party wasn't enough to call floor test. DMK versus DMK showdown erupts. MP Tiruchi Sivai's car and home vandalized. Showdown between MP and TN ministers Kada. Opposition questions law and order in the state. Ex-Bihar Chief Minister Lalu Yadav and family get bail after CBI says it has no objection. Next hearing on 29th of March. Interim relief for Imran Khan from Pakistan court. Police orders to stop operations outside his residence. Order on his bail plea reserved for now. A dramatic US-Russia mid-air collision over the Black Sea stokes diplomatic war of words. US blames Russia. Team Putin hits back, says provoked by US pilots. And Credit Suisse shares slide 24% after bank's top shareholder rules out support. The dip is a record low for the second consecutive day. All right, our top story. Today, what we saw on the third day of Parliament was the opposition's mega march against the ED action. After a very long while, you possibly saw 18 political parties come on together and hold a protest. However, the TMC, the NCP were missing in these protests that we are showing you. Top leaders from about these 18 opposition parties took to the streets against the central agency's action, from sloganeering to jibes. The leaders didn't leave a chance to target the government over the Adani issue. The BJP, of course, hit back.
From Sansad to the streets, the opposition is turning up the heat on the Narendra Modi government over the Adani stock crisis. 18 opposition parties marched from Parliament to the Enforcement Directorate headquarters on Wednesday, but were blocked roughly 200 meters before the destination. The opposition leaders accused the ED of targeting opposition leaders while keep turning a blind eye to the BJP. They handed a letter to the ED demanding investigation into allegations of stock manipulation and financial irregularities levelled against Gautam Adani Group.
How it happened, who is responsible, who is giving the money, how he is allowed to take so much money. There should be an inquiry, and inquiry should be held. And what is the relation between Prime Minister and Adani ji?
ईडी इस मामले में एफआईआर दर्ज करके इन्वेस्टिगेशन शुरू करे। अडानी के खिलाफ कार्रवाई क्यों नहीं हो रही है? मोदी जी इंडिया के प्रधानमंत्री हैं या अडानी के प्रधानमंत्री हैं? ये देश जानना चाहता है।
The political slugfest continued in Parliament, where the opposition demanded a JPC probe into Adani crisis. The BJP, on the other hand, persisted with their demand for an apology from Rahul Gandhi for allegedly seeking foreign interference to restore democracy. Both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha were adjourned for a third day without doing much work.
Rahul Gandhi, instead of coming to Parliament and apologizing for his undemocratic rant against India, today seeks to be absent from Parliament.
While the opposition presented a united front in their march to ED office, the chinks are visible. The TMC, the third largest opposition party, was not part of the exercise. They staged their own protest on the issue of LPG prices. The NCP, a constituent of the UPA, too was missing from the signatories of the complaint to ED. Even Rahul Gandhi, who arrived back in India on Wednesday, skipped the protest march. With Supriya Bharadwaj, Aishwarya Paliwal, Mausami Singh and Ashutosh Mishra in New Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, so the march that you just saw had two political parties missing of the 18. The NCP, strange, an ally of the Congress, but missing. The TMC first. There were indications that the TMC would also be joining in, but they decided to hold parallel protests. The question that we ask, what does it mean for the opposition, and also what does it mean for the incumbent BJP government? Is the ED actually bringing in the opposition together finally? Let's cut across right now to our panelists this evening. Sanju Verma, Bharatiya Janata Party National Spokesperson, Shama Mohammed, Congress spokesperson, Reena Gupta, Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson, and Rahul Srivastava, National Affairs editor. Shama, I'd like to begin with you, because if I look at the signatories on that letter that you sent to the ED, which is your party, other than you, you have the DMK, you have the Samajwadi Party, RJD, JDU. What's interesting, you've managed to get Aam Aadmi Party. I would reckon this is the first time in Parliament that the Aam Aadmi Party has stood shoulder to shoulder with you on a protest. So did the BRS. Multiple other parties also, in all 18, two missing, the NCP, your own ally. On the other hand, even the TMC refusing to join in. The question I ask you, Shama, is that in all of this, it seems that it is the ED which is bringing in the opposition together. The ED is proving to be the fulcrum of opposition unity and not quite the Congress.
No, I can't hear your question because there's an echo. Can you repeat it? There's a lot of
Shama,
echo. What did you ask?
Shama, my question, if you can hear me, is that the Congress would have hoped that it was the fulcrum of opposition unity, bringing in these political parties together. But it does seem that the cohesive political narrative has been built as the ED being the fulcrum of it. Will it actually cut any ice with the people, the citizens outside, that raids are bringing the opposition together?
Okay, first again, Preeti, I'm saying I'm not able to hear you very clearly. You must ask them to fix the audio. But whatever I've heard about whether the Congress is the fulcrum of opposition and what are you doing to get together or whatever.
No. Okay, what we're going to do is I'm going to try and. Okay, that's not what I asked. Shama, that's not the question I asked. We'll correct your audio. But I'll cut across to Sanju Verma, the Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson. We are hoping to connect Shama's audio till then. But Sanju Verma, the fact is, you had 18 political parties which till date, at least in Parliament, haven't quite come together on any issue. Whether it is the ED or what the opposition feels excesses at the hand of the incumbent government by central agencies. And if you look at it, you know, there's ample evidence what the opposition says that they have reason enough to do this.
Okay, Preeti, I just want to put a few facts out there in the public domain for the benefit of your audience. Point number one, the opposition is well within its right to carry out a protest march, assuming that there is a witch hunt going on. But I would just like to remind them, take them back to 27th of July 2022. There was a historic verdict by the Supreme Court. While that verdict has been petitioned against, and we've still not heard the last word on that one. The Supreme Court in the July 27, 2022 verdict clearly said that in matters pertaining to money laundering, criminal conspiracy, cheating, the Enforcement Directorate and even the CBI can go and make a suo motu arrest under section 45 of the PMLA Act. And the ED mentioned, the Supreme Court mentioned one very interesting thing, that the moment there is a PMLA case that has been slapped against the accused, the burden of proof lies on the accused to prove that he or she is not guilty. Normally in India, you are innocent till proven guilty, but the Supreme Court verdict says that in a PMLA case, you are guilty till proven innocent, and this is as per section 24 of the PMLA Act of 2002. So I simply want to ask the Congress, you can keep whining that, you are being discriminated against. Tell me one thing. Why is it that the Supreme Court in 2014, 2016, 2018 and as recently, Preeti, as 2021, it refused to quash the criminal proceedings against Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi in the National Herald scam? Are you telling me that the Supreme Court is a handmaiden of the Modi government? Because that is
all right. Sanju Verma, I'm going to go back to Shama, but I'll come back to you on this. You talk about the PMLA, whether it's draconian, what the Supreme Court says is secondary. What the opposition is saying today is, why is the ED not actually raiding the likes of Mr. Adani or, back home just 2 weeks ago, your own MLA, Mr. Veerapaksha, in Karnataka. It's interesting, just go by sheer figures. Of the last 7 years, who's been raided? Anil Deshmukh, NCP, Nawab Malik, NCP, Sanjay Raut, Shiv Sena, Manish Sisodia, Satyendra Jain, Aam Aadmi Party, Lalu Yadav, RJD, Pankaj Mishra, JMM, Partha Chatterjee, TMC, the list goes on, Abhishek Banerjee, TMC. So when you look at it, hear me out, ma'am. In terms of the convictions till now, I'm talking about specifically ED, 0.05%. 95% of who's been raided since 2014 by the ED has been only opposition parties. Strangely, the opposition parties also say what happened to Narayan Rane, Suvendu Adhikari, Himanta Biswa Sarma, Bhavna Gawali, Yashwant Jadhav, and the list goes on. The latest in that, Mr. Veerapaksha, your own MLA in Karnataka, his son, and even in his house, caught with crores of money, there's been no raid.
Okay. Preeti, that's a very exhaustive question, and I will call a spade without beating around the bush. I have said this on zillions of debates to opposition members who I have been on the panel with. If you feel you have a watertight case against Suvendu Adhikari, against Narayan Rane, against even Himanta Biswa Sarma, because his name keeps cropping up, please go and knock on the doors of the relevant court. Are you telling me that you will sit and whine and wail and rave and rant on national television, but you will not go and knock on the doors of the apex court? And let me finish, please. Let me finish. Please, Preeti,
10 seconds, ma'am. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yes. So, point number one, if you have a watertight case, don't start crying on national television. Take your grievance to the Supreme Court for appropriate redressal. Point number two, I want to remind some people on your show that last year when K. Ishwarappa, who was the Panchayat Raj Minister of Karnataka, there was a case filed against Santosh Patil. In his suicide note, he said that money was extorted from him and that is why he's committing suicide. He named K. Ishwarappa. We forced K. Ishwarappa to resign. He's still facing an investigation. Can the Congress tell me that D.K. Shivakumar, who's the Karnataka Congress President, Preeti, he's out on bail since 2018 in a 700 crore disproportionate asset case. When will the Congress expel D.K. Shivakumar? It's not about.
One second. Okay, Sanju Verma, I want to open up the debate, but the question is not about whether you have suspended or expelled Mr. Ishwarappa. The question is very simple, which maybe the Congress will ask and even the Aam Aadmi Party will ask. They'll say that, listen, Manish Sisodia has been arrested right now by the ED. No money was recovered from him. You have your own MLA. Hear my question out. Ma'am, hear my question out. They will come ahead and they will say that what happened to your own MLA, Mr. Veerapaksha? He had crores which was found at his residence, at his son's residence. Why hasn't the ED come knocking? That's what the Congress will say. Why no ED case against Mr. Adani? But let me open out the debate. Let me open out the debate, please. Shama, if I have you, I'll come to you, Ms. Gupta. Give me 2 minutes. Let me introduce Shama Mohammed into the debate. I asked her the first question. But in midst of all of this, Shama, most citizens will say that crackdown by central agencies cannot be the fulcrum of opposition unity. You need to have a political narrative. The sheer fact you had the maximum parties today protest together, were brought together against the Enforcement Directorate. What is the political narrative of unity?
Okay, now before I go to that, the BJP spokesperson said something like, let them go to court. She doesn't understand courts work on evidences shown by the ED, the police and the various other organizations. And also after 2014, the power of the ED has been increased. We all know how they've changed things, the present BJP government. Now going today, just look at this, what has happened. There is an issue. There are severe, strong allegations against Mr. Adani. Various 12 parties got together, members of parliament walking towards the ED. Now my simple question is, if there is nothing wrong, you have no collusion with Adani, why stop them from going to the ED? Why? This is what Rahul Gandhi has been saying. What has happened to democracy is that there is undeclared emergency here. I remember the last time when there was the farmers, they had to protest outside Delhi, they couldn't enter. When there was a questioning of Mrs. Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, we wanted to walk, all of us wanted to walk to the Rashtrapati Bhavan from AICC to the Rashtrapati Bhavan. We were not allowed. I fail to understand what is wrong. Now let me get back to before 2014. I still remember Augusta Westland. They came out and said huge allegations. In fact, we immediately we stopped the deal, the Defence Minister, Mr. A.K. Antony. We said we are ready for a JPC. So the so-called coal allegation which they put on to us, nothing has been, everything, has not been proved, nothing, no evidence, no scam, in fact, in none of them. But still, we were ready for the CBI probe. 2G, again, we were ready for a JPC. And also, let's remember those days, any minister, any allegation against a minister, chief minister, immediately steps down so that there is a transparent probe. Because we are not, when we are not involved, we're ready for a probe. We don't mind the CBI probing. We don't mind a JPC. We were open to all of these. The question here is, when there is guilt, Preeti, there is fear. And when there is fear, they do not allow investigations. They will not allow the CBI. They will not allow ED. Nothing, going out there to show the ED with the letter, which you all have seen. What does the president, what does Narendra Modi fear? If he has a spine, if he doesn't fear, let them do it. Let them
asked you still
unanswered. Why do you stop our MPs?
No, that question is still unanswered. And I'm going to come back to you. But I want to bring in Reena Gupta and Rahul Srivastava into the conversation. The question was, madam, that what we saw today in a way is unprecedented because we've never seen so many political parties come together on a protest, save the TMC and the NCP here. But what has brought you together has been a protest against central agencies. What is a cohesive political narrative that you're taking to the people? But that aside, I'll come back to you on that question. Reena Gupta, I want to get you in on this. The curious case of the Aam Aadmi Party today at this march, one doesn't quite understand. At one end, you're attacking the Congress. The Congress is saying Manish Sisodia is corrupt. All your ministers are corrupt. It's very good that the ED is cracking down. On the other hand, you have called the Congress corrupt. Today, you're marching shoulder to shoulder with them. What's going on?
Preeti, it is Mr. Modi, Adani, CBI, ED on one side and the people of India on the other side. And let me explain that. When the Prime Minister was campaigning, he said, na khaunga, na khane dunga. But right now what is happening is that jitne khane khinale wale log the, all of them have joined Bharatiya Janata Party. And as a result of this, you have all the corrupt leaders inside Bharatiya Janata Party. And you spoke very well about the Karnataka case. Just 2 days after the Prime Minister inaugurates the highway where the contractors have been saying it is a 40% sarkar. The state where contractors are saying that we've had to pay 40% bribe. You see what happened to that highway 2 days later, it's in shambles. The same way, the economy in this country is in shambles. The inflation is really high. And this today, the march was against all of this because what is happening, Preeti, is that crony capitalism is at the highest. And Mr. Modi, who said that all of these people, whoever is corrupt in my party will go behind bars. I want to challenge Sanju Verma if she can name one Bharatiya Janata Party leader that is behind bars on an ED charge or a CBI charge. And at the same time...
I'm going to come to you, Sanju Verma, but allow me to bring in Rahul Srivastava, National Affairs Editor. He's listened to all three of you ladies very patiently, including myself, the fourth. So, Rahul, I'm going to bring you in. And I want to ask you one question with somebody as seasoned political journalist, over the years, practically to see these 16 to 18 political parties come together on the issue of the ED bringing them together, or the protests against a central agency, will it catch any traction where the people are concerned? What is the political narrative that this united opposition is taking to the people?
Preeti, right now the Parliament is a platform for outrage versus outrage battle, attempt to build a narrative versus attempt to build another narrative. Now, in the last few days, let me just brief what has happened. The Congress and the opposition was largely united. 16 parties met on the first day. Today it was 18 odd. So, and some members do go here and there. But the fact is that the government realized that the opposition is united on the Adani issue and is not going to let the House function till its demand are accepted. Means they want to, the opposition wants to run the House on its terms and wants to set the Adani Hindenburg narrative against the government. What did the government do? Went on a preemptive strike, brought in the Rahul Gandhi shame apology issue. Now, in that, now there is a clash inside the House. Every day, if you notice, yesterday, before the House began, and the day before, 4 or 5 MPs start protesting outside Parliament, the BJP, the government guys. Then one of the ministers issues a statement. Anurag Thakur yesterday, it was Ms. Smriti Irani today morning. Then inside the House, before the opposition can start Adani, Modi, bye bye, or whatever slogans they want to, it is the government which disrupts. Now it is disruption versus disruption. The opposition's main blackmail trump card usually in the House is, we will disrupt, the government has taken over that. The opposition till now, which was wanting to set the narrative inside Parliament, has to come out of Parliament to go to the ED. It is ED to give a memorandum to ED to register a case. Now that's a very interesting thing, because the opposition has very large number of legal lights. And I wanted to know that the ED has 2 powers, Preeti, 3 powers.
Right.
One is the PMLA, the other is FEMA, and the third is the Offenders Act.
Right.
A PMLA largely is a civil case. This is a criminal case, and the ED does not have the powers to register a case on its own. Since it does not have a power to register a case, it needs a CBI or a local police to register a criminal case once, which is a statutory offense, and then the ED comes in. Now, where is the case, police case in the Adani case? So why are you going to ED? Actually, it's of no avail at all. There is absolutely no reason legally why you should be going to the ED till the Supreme Court-led 6-member committee says register a case to a local police or CBI, and then the ED comes in. The fact is that the opposition also wants a daily narrative against the government. And that is why the government has said that irrespective of what the opposition may demand, what the public perception may be, there is going to be no movement against on the issue of Adani. And it is now using the Supreme Court intervention in terms of the committee being set up, that the case is already sub judice. What do? We can't set up a JPC.
But Sanju Verma, what the opposition is also alleging is that the agencies are playing tag team. The CBI comes in, and then with what Rahul explained, very diligently, the ED swoops in right after, and it's all happening at the behest of who else but you.
Okay. Preeti, Rahul made some very pertinent points. I will answer your query, but I just want to answer to what the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson said. This is what happens when you come without preparation on debates. The WPI wholesale inflation numbers came out 2 days back. It is at a 25-month low of 3.85%. Food inflation is at a 48-month low of 2.28%. So before you come and give a bhashan on inflation, do some homework.
Preeti, you must
I'll come. Yeah, I will. Let her finish. I'll come. Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to allow all 3 of you to have your say. Just
Thank you.
give the same courtesy that you want. Yes, go ahead, Ms. Verma.
Basically, when you come and give a bhashan on inflation, do your homework and come. Don't just rattle off numbers without doing necessary groundwork. And we are a $3.5 trillion economy. We've taken over the United Kingdom to become the 5th largest in terms of nominal GDP. But people like you can only see the glass as half empty. That is what you do in politics, and that is why you are limited to 1.5 states.
Respond on Adani.
Ma'am, I'll come to you. I'll come to you. Let her finish. Make your point, ma'am. 10 seconds, make your point. Go ahead.
Yes, you are not the one anchoring the debate. Preeti is anchoring, and I will respond to her. On the Adani issue, I will just say this. The Supreme Court is doing what needs to be done. But when the Congress raises you know, one finger at the BJP saying Adani ko bahut favor kiya. There is crony capitalism. I want to ask them, Preeti, the Rajasthan state government under Ashok Gehlot has enough powers. Why have you not initiated an inquiry when Adani has decided to pump in 60,000 crore in Rajasthan via a thermal and solar power project? Why has Bhupesh Baghel, the Congress chief minister in Chhattisgarh, not initiated an inquiry against Adani, who's been given a blanket permission to mine coal from the Chhattisgarh
All right,
forest?
okay. Ms. Verma, I'm going to cut across to Reena Gupta. She wanted to come in for a rebuttal, and I'll come to you, Ms. Mohammed, right after that. But Ms. Verma, once I'm done with them, you're quite good at figures that you say. I'll just rattle off a few with facts because, you know, there must be, in terms of the opposition, to keep coming out and making the same charge. One does wonder, because if you look at cold figures, the ED raids from 2004 to 2014, 112. From 2014 to 2022, 3,010 raids. Not bad, the ED is doing its job, but the opposition also claims that 95% of it has only been on the opposition. And what has been the conviction rate of all of that? 0.05%, ma'am. So the opposition says, look at these figures, there's enough to read into it to say that this is a witch hunt. But, okay, go ahead, Ms. Reena Gupta, you wanted to come in for a rebuttal.
Two quick points, Preeti. It's laughable when Sanju Verma talks about fifth largest economy. Compare the per capita income of India and compare the per capita income of United Kingdom. Now, let me quote a few figures. And these are all from last week's newspapers. Smartphone market declined by 10%. Tea consumption down. Two-wheeler sales lowest in a decade. This is the condition of the economy. And the fourth news item is men's underwear sales are down. The economy is in such bad shape, people don't even have money to buy undergarments. And what is Sanju Verma talking about? Which world is she living in?
Can we just go one by one? Can I just get Reena Gupta?
Talking in the middle. Let me complete.
Can I just get Reena Gupta? Ma'am, please make your point and I'll go to Shama Mohammed. Go ahead.
The point is, Preeti, that if they have nothing to hide, why are they not allowing a discussion in the parliament under 267? Our honorable MP, Mr. Sanjay Singh, has every day filed a notice that there should be a discussion on the Adani issue in the parliament. Parliament is where all the elected representatives are. Parliament is where these issues need to be discussed. And if they are honest, if they have nothing to hide, if there has been no quid pro quo, if they are not scared of revealing how much electoral bonds Adani has given to Bharatiya Janata Party, then they should allow a discussion under 267.
All right, okay. Shama Mohammed. No, ma'am, can I please go to Shama Mohammed? Let's go one by one. That's the best. Shama Mohammed, I'll come back to the question which I asked you, ma'am, earlier.
Yeah, I want to...
The opposition needs to come up with a cohesive narrative for the people. That narrative cannot be governed by what you allege, the misuse of agencies. Go ahead, ma'am.
Well, you are not anybody to decide on what the opposition should do and what will affect the people. Of course, when there is ED going all over the place, what is wrong in questioning it? They are not allowing us to discuss Adani inside Parliament. They're diverting. So what is wrong? We have, during the Bharat Jodo, the main issues were Mehengai, the unemployment, the communal disharmony in the country. We have erased all these issues, whatever is happening in this country. And of course, one of the biggest thing is all these ED, CBI, everything now is controlled by the government, and it is the truth. Everybody knows that. Now, Sanju Verma said, what is wrong? The Supreme Court is doing its job. Why do they need a JPC? Now, Supreme Court monitored what the committee is basically an academic committee. They cannot issue summons. They cannot do a criminal investigation. They cannot check various data. They do not have the right to do that. Only a JPC can go into a criminal investigation. And why do we need that? Exactly because of cronyism. Now, we have a couple of examples like the airports, the 6 airports given it to Adani. Now, who flagged it? Let's also bring out the Finance Ministry as well as Niti Aayog and the Department of Economic Affairs. They clearly said not to give 6 airports to one because the investment is too much and there will not be any competition. I still remember when the tender was open for both the Delhi as well as the Bombay airport, it was supposed to be given, it could have been given to the same person, same one, a company, but it was not. You know, it could have been given to GVK, but it was not. Let me finish. Then the issue of the Godda power plant in Jharkhand, what happened to that? In 2018, Adani's applied for it on an SEZ zone. They did not get a permission from the Ministry of Commerce because the Ministry of Commerce said a standalone power plant cannot come. But in 2019, they got the permission. So why is this? This is what we are seeing. Is there's a lot of cronyism.
But Shama Mohammed, something which Sanju Verma raised. But something which Sanju Verma raised, Shama Mohammed.
Foreign Minister said it's a government to government deal.
Hear me out.
May I come in, Preeti?
Something what Sanju Verma also said on the... Ma'am, hear me out. Please hear the question out. Something which Sanju Verma also said earlier is that, is it the same way, the same route that was taken in Rajasthan, in Chhattisgarh? Why no complaints there?
Now she's quiet.
So why do you think that the same route is taken everywhere? It's definitely, tell this woman to shut her mouth.
Please, let's not get personal. Everyone, let's not, okay, listen. Okay, I'm not going to get into, okay, I apologize to all three of you. I'm not going to get into, I apologize to all three of you. Please stay clear of making any personal attacks.
I want to speak.
Ma'am, you had uninterrupted, all three of you have had uninterrupted play.
No, but she's made many allegations about Adani. Let me come in now, Preeti. She can't be.
Ma'am, 1 second. I'm going to give you all 30 seconds of closing time, but with due permission of all three ladies, may I just bring in Rahul Srivastav again into this conversation for the last time, Rahul, and you're smiling away, but I'll get you in again, Rahul. My question is, the opposition coming in together, 17 odd parties, trying to build a cohesive narrative, but can it be built at the back of alleged witch hunt by central agencies, or will they need to take something more to the people?
Preeti, this perception battle of narratives needs the public. It cannot be away from the public. What Narendra Modi government right now and the BJP is confident about, that it has got the voting janta with it. And that is why there is a sense of brazenness to it. I remember the times when the Congress was in UPA was in power. There used to be minor dabav from the opposition and others, and the government used to give in. There were resignations by ministers, officers,
Ashwini Kumar,
and cases
yes.
were registered. So many of them, I remember being part of many investigations and stories like Natwar Singh and others.
Right.
And the government gave in. I think that what this government is displaying is broader shoulders in terms of withstanding opposition pressure. Now, in that scenario, there is only one option left. See, what the opposition wants to do is have a daily flashpoint. Like they are saying now, one by one, they will go and meet the ED. It will be of no avail. But it will at least resonate daily, the issue. I think the only answer for the opposition today is to convince the public, go into the public and tell them. Otherwise, right now, there is a deadlock. And I think, again, as I said yesterday, the parliamentary democracy is suffering.
All right, Pal. And who's suffering? It's all of us. Citizens collateral. 30 seconds each. Go ahead, Sanju Verma, closing comments.
Thank you. Preeti, this is what happens when people have no clue about how economy functions and they come and give a bhashan to the BJP. Let me tell you that in July 2021, Adani acquired 74% stake from the GVK group and a South African company called Bidwest. And approval was required from 3 agencies. One was the central government, one was the Maharashtra state government, and one was the Maharashtra state body called CIDCO, CIDCO, who was in power in July 2021 when the GVK sale happened to Adani. It was not the BJP that was in
10
power
more
in
seconds.
Maharashtra.
Yes.
Please, it was not the BJP that was in power in Maharashtra. It was Uddhav Thackeray, NCP Sharad Pawar, and Rahul Gandhi who were in power.
Veena Gupta, 30 seconds closing. Make your closing. Veena Gupta, 30 seconds. Can I just get Veena Gupta? Go ahead.
Preeti, it is very clear from the Adani case that there have been offshore companies that have been used. There has been stock price manipulation, and in case of electricity and coal, there has been overpricing. So all of these things are in the public domain. It's very clear. Aam Aadmi Party has shown several documents in the public domain. And the only question is that if Bharatiya Janata Party has nothing to hide, they should just go ahead and form a JCP. They should allow this discussion to happen in the parliament so that the whole country can see that Pradhan Mantri ji jo kehte the na khaunga na khane dunga, he is true to his word.
All right, can I just get Shama Mohammed? 30 seconds, Shama Mohammed, closing.
Yeah, this government basically does not want to probe any of their misdeeds. they want to then unleash CBI and ED and various agencies to destroy evidence, and then they tell the court that there is no evidence.
Okay.
This is the pattern what we are seeing. So, what is happening is just go after the opposition. We will keep doing this, and we are ready to go to prison if we have to, but we will not let Narendra Modi continue with this undeclared emergency.
Okay, with that, ladies, thank you so much for joining us, all three of you. Rahul Srivastava, lovely to have you back on the show. With that, I'm going to quickly shift focus with something else which happened in Parliament along with the march that this united kind of opposition took out to the Enforcement Directorate's office. What happened was, in Parliament was hangama once again over Rahul Gandhi's London speech. The BJP once again repeatedly asking for Rahul Gandhi's apology, who was not in Parliament, over his democracy under attack remark. Listen in to Union Minister Smriti Irani.
Today, every Indian citizen.
When the Gandhi family directs congressmen and women to tear papers and throw it at the speaker's chair in the Lok Sabha, is that democracy? When the Gandhi family directs congressmen in Rajya Sabha to tear books, jump on tables and humiliate the chair of the Vice President of India in Parliament, is that democracy? Today, every Indian citizen demands an apology to the Indian Parliament.
जो लोग सच बोलते हैं उनको जेल में डाला जाता है, तो ये डेमोक्रेसी को खत्म करने की प्रक्रिया नहीं है तो और क्या है? तो इसीलिए माफी का सवाल नहीं, और हम पूछेंगे उनको, आपने इतने कंट्रीज में जाके बात की, वो भी यहाँ के लोगों के कल्चर को और इंसानियत को अपमान किया.
With that, viewers, I'm going to go into a quick break, but on the other side, exclusive interview coming up, an interview of our consulting editor Rajdeep Sardesai with Sam Pitroda, very close to Rahul Gandhi and was with him on his UK trip.
And joining me now is the chairperson of the Indian Overseas Congress, Sam Pitroda joins me. Appreciate your joining us there from Chicago. Sam Pitroda, you've put out a few tweets on what's been happening over Rahul Gandhi's comments in the United Kingdom. I want your first reaction, though, to the fact that in the last 3 days, the government has been demanding an apology from Rahul Gandhi. How do you respond to the government's demand that Rahul Gandhi apologize for his remarks in the United Kingdom, because you were there by his side right through?
Rahul Gandhi did not say anything that require any kind of apology. In a democracy like ours, if someone feels very strong about something, he has all the rights to say it. The fact is that what he said has been twisted, lies are being propagated, misinformation is in main demand, and this has become a way of life in India. Unfortunately, it happens most of the time with Rahul Gandhi. So I was a little bit concerned because he didn't say any of those things. Of course, he said then that Indian democracy is going through challenge. I also believe that, mainly because our institutions are captured. You look at media, the amount of time media spends on trivial issues with Rahul Gandhi is absolutely out of proportion. The entire national media gets ganged up on an issue in a country where there are larger issues like economy, inflation, unemployment, education, all the promises government made. What happened to it? There is no debate on any of these real issues. But nation is obsessed for 3 days on what Rahul Gandhi did not say. Rahul Gandhi never invited any foreign country to participate. Rahul Gandhi very clearly said that this is our challenge and we will deal with it. So what is the sense in lying, twisting? I just don't get it. And then the question of apology. There is no question.
Can I just stop you for a moment, Mr. Can I just stop you for a moment, because there were a few remarks of Rahul Gandhi that raised a controversy on this so-called foreign intervention. He says in an address in Hounslow to the Indian diaspora, the surprising thing is so-called defenders of democracy, which are the United States and European countries, seem to be oblivious that huge chunks of the democratic model in India have come undone, which is a real problem. The opposition is fighting that battle. The battle is for huge democratic people. The opposition has placed the vision on the table. Now, this is being interpreted by the BJP to suggest he's calling for intervention from the US and European countries. In another speech,
First of all, it's a wrong interpretation. But as far as I'm concerned, Indian democracy is global public good. Indian democracy should be everybody's concern. If democracy fails in India, democracy will have huge impact. So this is not about India. It is not about Hindutva. It is about Manavta. We need to worry about the world first. I'm more concerned about planet and people than power and profits. I think we are at a point in the history today.
But Mr. Pitroda, could Rahul Gandhi have been a little bit? Could Mr. Rahul Gandhi have been a little bit more nuanced when you're dealing with sensitive issues?
So.
For example, in Cambridge, there was a Sikh gentleman in front of him, and he said Sikhs are being reduced to second-class citizens. When you make these comments, could you be more nuanced?
It's okay to make that comment. You are a democratic country. I mean, what is the problem? If one feels that way, it's perfectly normal. You can disagree with him. That's okay.
But you're seen to be overly negative. You're seen to be constantly negative and dissing on your own country on foreign soil.
So what's the problem though? I mean, what is this idea that you can't say anything against your country on foreign soil? Who came up with this concept? The world is everybody's. So this whole idea that you can't go to foreign country and say something, you can say whatever you want to say. What's the problem? I just don't get it. Where is the problem? You should be.
You could be more nuanced instead of making sweeping remarks. Democracy in India is messy and chaotic. But to say that democracy is finished.
Of course, I also feel that democracy is not finished. Democracy
is it an overstatement?
Democracy is attacked, and someone feels that it is finished. That's okay. That's their judgment. You can say, I don't agree with your judgment. That's perfectly normal. But the attack after attack in an organized way with media support is what I'm concerned about. Okay? Poor guy can't even scratch. If you scratch, you will say, why did you scratch in foreign countries? I mean, let's be reasonable. Let's be civilized. Let's give him some space. Poor fellow has no space. Why is everyone so obsessed with what he says, how he said, every word of it, every sentence of it, every tone of it? He's also a human being. He should have the same freedom you and I have. Of course, he's a leader of a party, one of the key leaders in the country. We all respect that. But at the end of the day, we are all human beings. I also say things in America about India. That doesn't mean I'm against India. I'm not nationalist. I say things about America, being in America. Nobody has ever asked me anything. I've said lots of negative things about America. In America, abroad, I am a human being first. I'm more concerned about humanity than about nationality. So but now you don't have to agree with me.
But isn't, But Sam Pitroda, isn't it more important for a leader who aspires to the highest office in India to offer his own vision, his own positive narrative of India, rather than constantly focusing on the negatives and bashing Narendra Modi? That surely Rahul Gandhi has more to offer as to what the Congress party and he stands for, rather than focus on Mr. Modi all the time.
Rajdeep, that is his option. And this is your opinion, which is fine. I respect that.
But, you know, the point which I'm coming to, Sam Pitroda, is Rahul Gandhi goes to the United Kingdom and makes observations which at times can be challenged. For example, when he says, I'm not allowed to speak at all in Parliament, he just gave a 1-hour speech on the...
No, Rajdeep, the observation can be challenged.
So what you're saying, in a democracy, let me understand what you're saying. Sure.
Very simple.
You know, what you're saying
Very
is
simple.
that you're calling for a debate. You're calling for you're calling for a debate, a dialogue, a conversation. You're saying every time I say something critical of you doesn't mean I'm anti-India, doesn't mean I need to apologize to you. Am I correct?
Of course. Let me give you an example. Okay. During last election, I said something was completely twisted, misrepresented. Media went wild. Nobody came and asked me, Mr. Pitroda, what did you mean by that? This is the state of communication in India. You go talk to any civil society people, NGOs. They will tell you, we are being harassed. There are unnecessary court cases on us. ED has been sent to us. And I can give you a list of 50 of those. That means civil society is not functioning well. Isn't that a concern in a democracy? Of course it's a concern in democracy. How can I not speak about it? That doesn't mean I'm anti anybody. I'll give you another example. Very simple example, personal example. There was a Padyatra in New York. I participated in it because it was Indian Overseas Congress had organized. Because of my health, I don't take long walk, but I did walk about 1.5 kilometers. It was pretty successful. Next day, within 24 hours, I get a letter from ED saying, when did you become member of the Congress party? What is your designation? I wrote to them. I said, why do you have to know that? Immediately I got a response back saying, according to law 7937 -- whatever. I said, look, I don't understand what you're saying. It is basically intimidation, harassment. You have to be at the other end to really realize what happens. And when these kinds of things go on,
Mr. Pitroda,
you think that the democracy...
Mr. Pitroda, the point that I'm coming at, you know, I would agree that Rahul Gandhi has every right to express his views. But when you express your views and you're a person of stature, you have to be careful of every word, because every word will be picked up by someone or the other.
That's
so as I said, when you refer the audience to Sikhs being becoming second-class community, there will be a backlash.
That we will see. The point is, we all have right to say how we feel in a democracy. Don't put your interpretation as the only interpretation. We are all human beings. We live in a democratic society. We have a view. If you don't agree with my view, I respect that. But don't gang up on me. Don't ask 50 people to immediately go on TV and start attacking me. Don't have an orchestrated, well-organized, well-oiled machine released on you. I think that is the issue I'm concerned about. It's okay for you to have a conversation with me. And it's okay for you to disagree with me. I respect that. Why should you and I agree on everything? Let's have civilized discourse. Let's not have personal attacks all the time on every issue at every minute.
The government would say Rahul Gandhi has also constantly attacked Prime Minister Modi. So it's become very bitter, personal, and there's enmity. And that's the problem why Indian democracy has become dysfunctional. In Parliament, for example, the two sides simply don't see eye to eye. That's the real problem.
No, I don't think that's a real problem at all. Okay, I think you are wrong. Prime Minister is a Prime Minister of a country. Every citizen has a right to criticize Prime Minister. There's nothing wrong with it, because he is, at the end of the day, Prime Minister of everybody and not a group of people. He needs to represent the entire country. And if somebody criticizes him, Prime Minister should be big enough to take criticism. I worry when Prime Minister talks on public media, the way he talks sometimes. To me, that's not a dignified way for a Prime Minister to attack somebody. Others can attack Prime Minister. Remember that. But Prime Minister of my country is a Prime Minister for everybody. And it's okay for me to criticize him. He has to have broad shoulders to take a lot of criticism and not go into tutu meme. When Prime Minister does that, it bothers me.
Can I just ask you one final question? You asked, you said at the outset you believe that why is everyone obsessed with Rahul Gandhi? May I offer a reason? Obsessed with Rahul Gandhi because A, he's the face at the moment of the biggest opposition party even today, and there's a sense that the BJP sees Rahul Gandhi as their perfect opponent, someone whom they can target as a fifth generation dynast, and therefore they in a way are sort of playing up anything, any remark that Rahul Gandhi makes.
I understand that, but I think it is one thing to attack him in a sort of organic way, is another thing to attack him in a well-civilized, well-organized, sort of structured, highly controlled media. It's okay for someone to come and say, Rahul said this, and I didn't agree with it. This is okay. But when 500 people in the same day on every television channel goes and says that bothers me. I hope you understand the difference.
So you remain confident that Rahul Gandhi is someone who is here for the Lamba race. You're saying don't underestimate Rahul Gandhi as someone who's been very close to him. You're saying
he has been there all along. He may have a different style than many of the traditional politicians have. In India, people think to be a politician, you have to be connived, you have to be manipulative, you have to be harsh. That's not what Rahul Gandhi is. And I know Rajiv Gandhi, that's not what he was. So it's a matter of character.
But it's part of the problem, Mr. Pitroda, but it's part of the problem, sir. But it's part of the problem that he carries all the baggage of the Congress over the years, the corruption over the years, the nepotism, all of that will come to affect Rahul Gandhi. He can't escape the baggage.
I understand, but the point is, let's not start with part of the problem, because then you define the problem yourself. Okay? So this language has to change in our discourse. Okay? I see discourse on TV on India on and off, and sometimes I wonder, why are these people talking like that?
So let me ask you in conclusion, if you were to advise Rahul Gandhi now in the present political milieu, would you advise him to do anything differently, or do you believe he's on the right track?
He is matured enough, intelligent enough to make his own choices. I would not advise him on anything. I have no business advising him. I can talk to him. I can express my views. Ultimately, Rahul Gandhi is capable, qualified to make his own choices.
Sam Pitroda, as always, as I said, pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for joining me there from Chicago this morning in Chicago, evening in India. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, viewers, at the back of that exclusive interview, it's good night from us. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night ahead.
India Today Conclave 2023, March 17th and 18th, New Delhi. Listen to Dhananjay Y. Chandrachud, Chief Justice of India. The India Moment.
The story of Lakshmi is a source of inspiration. Despite frugal means, Lakshmi has built a business she's proud of. But it did not come easy. After working in a wide array of jobs, Lakshmi got headlong into the dry cleaning and ironing business. She now caters to over 300 families.
ये हमारा जो प्रोफेशन है वो फैमिली बिजनेस है। मेरे हस्बैंड प्राइवेट सेक्टर में जॉब करते थे। जब लॉकडाउन लगा तो उनकी वो जॉब छूट गई थी। तो ये फैमिली बिजनेस था, हाथ का हुनर था, तो मैंने एक बार बाहर आजमाने की कोशिश की। शुरू में 16 किलोमीटर ड्राइव करके जाना बहुत काफ़ी ऐसा लगता था, पता नहीं कितना दूर जंगल में आना पड़ रहा है।
With all her hard work and dedication, Lakshmi soon took a shop on rent in a housing complex in Jaipur. She has employed 3 people to help her. Lakshmi has not only managed to build a profitable business, she has also given hope and aspirations to her children.
मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है कि मम्मी पापा दोनों काम करते हैं हमारे लिए, और मेरा भाई और मैं मतलब अच्छे से पढ़ पाते हैं उस वजह से। मम्मी और पापा बिजनेस करते हैं और इतना दूर जाते हैं, तो हमें बहुत सपोर्ट मिलता है उन दोनों से।
Lakshmi's elder son is pursuing B.Tech and dreams of joining the Indian Navy after graduation. Her younger son plans to open a cafe.
39-year-old Lakshmi is no less than a superwoman for her family. Despite frugal means and the initial hardship, through her grit and perseverance, Lakshmi has managed to put the family business on the path to progress and given her children the hope and the aspiration to dream big. With camera person Nikhil Devankur Vadhavan in Jaipur for India Today.
Risk when you want to, pick up the pace if you like, slow down if you wish to. Well, as you can see, I'm doing a very simple form of exercise. It is walking, and there are many hidden benefits of walking. I'm here to tell you about all the hidden benefits of walking today. Does the sight of this overwhelm you? Are you always running out of time and can't make time to go to a gym? Do you feel worried about not getting any physical activity? Then don't, because walking even for a few minutes a day can go a long way in doing wonders for your health.
It affects our heart, it affects our liver, it affects our blood pressure, it affects our muscles, it affects our bone.
By Get quick loans from Tata Capital. Co-powered by घर लेना हो या बेचना 99 acres से ही पूछना. WPL हर जुबान पर नाम तेरा. Union Bank of India, good people to bank with.
Stunning mid-air drama over Black Sea. Russian fighter collides with US drone. Putin's pilots hunt and kill US predator. US labels Russian pilots unprofessional. Russia denies, says US drone provoked. What's the truth of the deadly drone drama? Top focus on India First.
This is being seen as a huge flare-up and the first direct contact between Russian and US military assets, with the US accusing Russia of first blocking and then downing a US MQ-9 Reaper unmanned aerial vehicle. The question is, will this lead to an escalation and retaliatory action by the United States? The US has called Russian action as reckless, but as Russia sent out a very clear and a very sharp message to the NATO alliance, Russia is expanding the scope of this conflict. Has Russia sent out a very sharp message and yet kept it in the grey zone? First by dumping fuel on the drone and then tipping it over, sending it crashing down into the Black Sea instead of using an air-to-air missile to bring down an American drone. I'm Gaurav Sawant. We'll get you reactions from Moscow, we'll get you reactions from Kiev and a perspective from the national capital. But first, as always, the headlines. Day 3 of Parliament logjam over Rahul Gandhi's democracy remark. BJP continues to demand an apology. Gandhi's most trusted aide Sam Pitroda speaks out, says, give the Congress MP some space. "18 opposition parties march to the Enforcement Directorate from Parliament, demand investigation into the Adani crisis. TMC and NCP skip the opposition show of strength. Rahul Gandhi lands in India, but no show at the march." K. Kavita's plea against the Enforcement Directorate summons quashed by the Supreme Court. BRS MLC to be questioned by the agency in the Liquorgate probe tomorrow. Former Bihar Chief Minister Lalu Prasad Yadav and family get bail after CBI says it has no objection. Next hearing on the 29th of March. Interim relief for former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan from a park court. Police ordered to stop operations outside his Zaman Park residence. Order on his bail plea reserved for now. The United States has accused Russia of bringing down a US MQ-9 Reaper surveillance drone flying in the international airspace on the Black Sea. The US claimed 2 Russian fighter jets, Su-27s, first flew in front of the American drone, then dumped fuel on it, and finally, according to the Americans, the Russian Su-27 clipped the drone with a wingtip, damaging the propeller of that drone, sending it crashing down into the Black Sea. The US has called Russian action unsafe and unprofessional. Russia, of course, insists that there was no contact and it was an unguided American drone that went into tailspin and crashed. But has Russia sent out a very clear message to the US and NATO countries that Russia is willing to expand the scope of this conflict? Shiv Arur with our top story.
The stealthy high-altitude spy, an American MQ-9 Reaper drone flying silently over the Black Sea. The hunter, a pair of Russian Air Force Sukhoi Su-27 fighter jets. Advanced aircraft of enemy superpowers in a deadly tango off the coast of Ukraine. The American drone pilotless, the Russian jets flown by the best fighter pilots in that country. And then, in what is possibly the most hostile theater in the world today, the unthinkable happens. One of the Russian Su-27s first jettisons fuel onto the American drone and then gently collides with it, destroying the drone's propeller and sending it into a deep dive straight into the Black Sea. In a matter of minutes, a $100 million drone, the cream of American strategic power, is toast. According to the US military, reckless and unprofessional Russian pilots lost control of their jets and rammed into the American drone after dumping fuel onto it.
Based on the actions of the Russian pilots, it's clear that it was unsafe, unprofessional, and I think the actions speak for themselves. What we saw again were fighter aircraft dumping fuel in front of this UAV, and then getting so close to the aircraft that it actually damaged the propeller on the MQ-9. Because of the damage, we were in a position to have to essentially crash it into the Black Sea.
Russia, on its part, has denied all allegations being leveled by the Pentagon, but hasn't offered a separate version, only accusing the United States of flying the drone in a provocative manner and demanding an explanation for the incident. Now you might be wondering why the Russian Su-27s would need to conduct the dangerous business of colliding with a drone to destroy it. Surely Su-27 fighters fly armed with air-to-air missiles, right? While this is certainly true, it's also a fact that a missile fired at a US drone at this time would have been interpreted as an act of war and triggered an unpredictable escalation. This is something Russia definitely is aware of, and that's why experts believe the Russian pilots needed to improvise a dangerous mid-air assault on the American drone without the use of weapons. The MQ-9 drone is about half the length of the Su-27 and much lighter than the fighter, but it has a larger wingspan. Any mid-air touch, even minor, is always a huge risk to both aircraft. Therefore, if the Russian pilots indeed deliberately dumped fuel onto the drone to paralyze its systems and then delicately edged just close enough to tap and destroy the drone's rear-mounted propeller, they knew it would be enough to bring the MQ-9 down. One section of experts contradicts the American suggestion that this was unprofessional warfare and insist it's actually exceptional skill demonstrated by the Russian pilots, especially since the fighters returned safely to their Russian bases. The fog of war means the details of what precisely happened at 20,000 feet may never fully be known. But the incident has sparked renewed tensions between the United States and Russia. Will the US now look to bring down a Russian aircraft in revenge? We'll be watching this space. Bureau Report, India Today.
Which brings us to our question of the day. Is this incident a major escalation? Does it bring Russia and the United States directly in conflict? Is Russia sending out a message to the United States 1 year into the Russia-Ukraine conflict that it's willing to expand the scope of this conflict? Before I bring in our guests, we are just getting a reaction from Russia, which is saying that the drone flew with its transponders off, violating the boundaries of the temporary airspace regime established for the special military operations communicated to all users of international airspace. Let me bring in our guests. Joining me from Kiev is Oleksiy Goncharenko, Member of Parliament, Ukraine. He joins us from Kiev. Prokhor Teben is the head of the International Defense and Military Economy Studies at the Center for Comprehensive European and International Studies at Moscow. Also with me is Lieutenant General Syed Atta Hasnain, someone who's watching this Russia-Ukraine conflict very, very closely as a military analyst here. But my first question is to India Today's Shiv Arur. Shiv, what is the assessment as of now? Is this a major escalation in conflict, even though Russia claims its fighters did not come in contact with the American drone?
Gaurav, there's no doubt at all that this is a very, very serious incident. Whether it's going to lead to an escalation, it certainly has diplomatically. On the ground, we'll have to see in the days ahead, what the escalation really manifests as. But, for an advanced drone to be, allegedly disrupted by reckless flying by the Russians, bad enough such that it had to be crashed into the Black Sea, is a huge deal. These are drones worth millions of dollars. They are the very creme de la creme of the strategic power of the United States. These are drones that are operated from thousands of kilometers away and represent the real strength of the United States. And remember, this was an MQ-9 Reaper, which is an armed variety of the Predator drone. So losing one of these is has an array of implications, not least, not just the loss of such an asset, but also the fact that such an asset could fall into the wrong hands. It could be reverse engineered by Russia or China. It could fall into Iran's hands. All of those implications are already there. Now, the Russians say